Good afternoon, everyone. Today we are going to learn about for loops and while loops in Python program. Last time we just introduced the topic of Python program. We learned how to create variables. We learned some background about Python program. We also covered a bit of how to set up the environment, and I hope every one of us was able to set up his or her environment. Did you all do that? Yes, let me check. I think I had one person had a challenge setting up the environment, and we were able to fix that problem. Yes, I can say everyone is responding well. I can see that we have everyone is in for the class today, and that's a good gesture. I encourage you to be on time every time so that we avoid wasting time waiting for one another. So today we are going to cover for loop and while loops in Python program, as I have indicated, and I think every one of us has set up his or her environment ready for the lesson today, because today we are going to be a bit practical. Last time we were a bit more theoretical than practical, but today, because we are learning something that we need to code, then we will be a bit practical. So without wasting much time, let's get into what we need to do. Looping basically is all about doing repetitive tasks. We ask the computer to do repetitive tasks on our behalf. Computers are good at doing repetitive tasks, unlike human beings. So within Python program, we have two main loops that help us do repetitive tasks, and those loops are the for loop and while loops, and that's what we are going to look today. But unfortunately, we will not go into much details because we just want to have an overview of what looping in Python program. Before we get into coding, I want to give you an overview of what of the basic structure of each of the loops. We are going to start with the for loop, and for loop basically starts with a keyword. I think we can jump into our Google Colab. I hope everyone is able to log in or to get into his or her environment, that is the Google Colab. I don't think you have any problem. We covered that last time, so I do not expect anyone to encounter challenges. But if you encounter any challenge, let me know in the chat. If you have any problem, I will be here to help you to deal with that problem. And because I do not see anything on the chart that indicates that anyone is encountering any problem, then basically we are going to proceed with the coding. So I have opened my environment, and as I have told you, as I have indicated, the for loop starts with a keyword for. For that reason, we are going to start with the keyword for. In this case, this means that we are going to start with the for. Then next, we need to have an iteration variable, because the for loop requires an iteration variable, and it also requires a sequence. In this case, we are going to use the range function. Normally the range function is our companion in the for loop, and we are going to use the range function for that matter. Our iteration variable, in this case, we are going to call it I. You can call it anything else. You can call it J, K, or anything, but in most cases in for loop, normally I is used in most cases for I. So in this case, we are going to say for I in range, as I have indicated, we are going to use the range function. Range is a built-in function, and it works very well within the for loop. So we are going to use it most of the time. So In this case, we need to provide the range within which we want to repeat, to do the repetitive task. In this case, we can have a range of maybe 5, a range of 5. The range function, in this case, will start from 0 up to 4, because it does not include the last digit. It because the indexing in Python and in other programming languages normally starts from 0. So in this case, it will start from 0 up to 4, but those will be 5 iterations. So the repetition will take place 5 times. That is what I mean. As we have indicated, as you will see on our slides here, I have indicated that the line containing the keyword for the for loop ends with a colon. That is what we are supposed to do in this case. We are supposed to end the line with the colon, and that's what we have done. Then you need to hit the enter button. The next line of code will be identical. It simply indicates that the next line of code is under the for loop. So in this case, we can print something. We can print anything that we want, but for us, let's simply start by printing I. So all that we need to do next, then we need to run the program. In this case, you just hit the run button here. I hope you can see it on your environment, that is on your Google Colab. And that's simply what for loop does. It has repeated the process of printing I from 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 4. It did not include the 5. If we want to include the 5, then we can go up to 6, but in this case we only want to have 5 repetitions. We have five repetitions in our case. That is what the for loop in this case has done. Normally you do not always print I because you want to repeat something, and to demonstrate the difference, let's print something else. Maybe we can print hello world. This is a common phrase in programming. Let's do it, and let's just print it. Let's just print this statement 5 times as we have indicated within the range of this 5. So we simply run the program after making the changes, and this is what we have done. This is basically what we have done. We have instructed the computer to repeat this statement 5 times, and it has done it, as you can see here. Normally the for loop is used in iterating over sequences. One of the sequences can be lists. It can also be used to iterate over tuples, strings, and dictionaries. I know these terms might sound relatively new to most of you because maybe you do not have any background in programming, but we are going to learn all these at later in subsequent lessons. We are going to learn about lists, tuples, strings, and dictionaries. All this we are going to, and we are going to see how we can apply the for loop in each of them. And the for loop can also be used to execute a code of a fixed number of times. In fact, this is what we have done. We have printed the hello statement 5 times, as we have indicated here. So that's how you can use it. You can as well use the for loop to process data. Those are some of the uses of the for loop, and we are going to cover them into much details later on. Today we are simply having an overview of how to use the for loop, so we will not be covering a lot of details today. So that's basically the for loop. I don't know if there is anyone with a question. Anyone with a question? You can raise that question. Can I clarify anything? I hope everything was clear. I do not see any message on my, yeah, I think, yeah, it was okay. I can see, oh, if there is no one with a question, then we can proceed to the next step. But remember that I will expect you to repeat what we have done on your own, because the programming basically gets better when you do a lot of practice. So remember to practice what we have done today on your own after the lesson. So next, let's proceed to the while loop. So basically a while loop, like the for loop, starts with a keyword, and in this case the while loop starts with the keyword while. But before that we need an iterator variable. So in this case our I is not going to be within the while loop, so we can set it outside the while loop. So we can have our I, and we can set it to 0. We can set it to 0. In this case we are going to say that while I, in this case we do not, like I have indicated on the slide, the while loop, like the for loop, requires an iteration variable, and our iteration variable in this case is I. We have set it at the beginning of the looping at 0, and then it requires an iteration range. An iteration range in this case is not equal to the range function that we used in the for loop. That's what basically I have indicated here. Instead we can use the less than sign in this case as our iteration range. So for this case we can say that while I is less than or equal to 5, then we want to do something. We want to repeat a statement, and basically we are going to use what we did before, because we simply want to do something similar. And I have also indicated, if you check on our slides, I have indicated that the while loop ends with a colon. If you check this statement, so basically like the for loop, it ends with a colon. So in this case we are going to include a colon. This is what we have done here. And like the for loop, you can see the indentation here. Like we did with the for loop, we can basically print I like that. So that's what we can do. We can print I. Anyone can see any problem with this? Can anyone suggest what might happen if you are to learn the program at this point? Anyone with an idea? No one with an idea? You can show by a hand. No, okay, I will. So if we were to learn our program at this point, basically what we do with the while loop, and this is something that you should learn to do going forward. If we were to learn our program at this point, we are going to end up with an infinite loop. As I have indicated, you are likely to end up with an infinite loop. An infinite loop basically means that the computer program is going to repeat the same statement over and over without stopping at any given time, because we have not included the breakpoint in our case. So in this case we need to increment our I, which is the iteration variable, by maybe a 1 or a 2 or a 3 or whatever you want to increase it by. But in our case we just want to increment it by 1. So in this case we can say I equals I plus 1. We want to increment our iteration variable I by 1. So we are basically saying that once the while loop comes to the end, prints I, we want to increment it by 1 every time. So that's what we have done, and that's how you go about avoiding an infinite loop. You will see this statement here once I send you the PPT that I have created for you, and I know you will be. We have two methods. You can either use either of these. They are equal in terms of interpretation in Python program. So you can use this statement of the first one or the second one. There will be no problem. Let's use the first one to see what happens. So now we have dealt with an infinite loop, and for that reason this one is not going to be an infinite loop. So let's learn the program. As you can see, we have been able to repeat the process of creating I from zero. I told you that the indexing in Python program and in other program language starts at 0, and that's what we have here. It starts from 0, and because we have indicated that we want our I to repeat the process up to I is less than or equal to 5, then that's how we have ended up with a 5 in this case. You will notice that when we used the range function within the for loop, we did not have 5, but we had 5 iterations. In this case, we have 6 iterations because we have included the 5 within the range. So that's basically a while loop, and like we did with the for loop, where maybe we can change this statement. Maybe we can include the hello statement, hello world. I told you that the hello world statement is a very common phrase in programming language. So let's learn the program. As you can see, we have printed the statement 6 times. We have repeated the statement 6 times. So thank you. This concludes our lesson today. I am grateful that every one of you attended the lesson today. We have basically looked at the for loop and the while loop, and we have indicated that most of the time you will be using the range function within the for loop. We have also indicated that most of the time you will need to increment the iteration variable within the while loop to avoid the infinite loop. So those should be your main takeaway today, and I will be uploading the PPT for everyone to download it and to do some practice. I encourage you to do some practice on your own after this lesson. So during your free time, take some few times to repeat what we have done throughout this lesson. In the next lesson, we are going to look at how to use and how to apply the for loop and the while loop in different cases. We are going to look at how we can introduce the if statement. I know we have not looked at the if statement and the if else and the else if statement, but we are going to cover those in the next lesson. So don't worry about it when you hear me talk about if statement or else if statement, or in case you come across those statements as you maybe during your own learning. So thank you for today. Let's meet tomorrow for the next lesson. Bye.